Ursula, Flotsam, and Jetsam Acrylic Nail Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish.
Hi everybody, in today's video I'm going to be showing you the Ursula design that goes with my Maleficent design. So this one is going to be just the Ursula and then Flotsam and Jetsam on the thumb, and a little bit of the acrylic work. Anything that's a repeat from the Maleficent design I did not show you again in this video because you've already seen it. And if you haven't already seen it and you'd like to see all of the base work that I did, there will be a link to that video in the description box below, so check that out and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
So to begin with, I have a layer of some gel top coat on my nail form backing, and then I'm going to be painting the outlines of Ursula and Flotsam and Jetsam on those two little rectangles of gel top coat. So starting out with just black acrylic paint and sketching in the shapes, just kind of work on it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. There's no reason to stress and to make sure it's perfect. So just get those outlines on there so you have a good little guide to go from there. Then to fill in Ursula, I'm using some different colors of gel polish, starting out with kind of a medium lilac-y purple I'm going to be filling in her face, and then with white I'm going to fill in some of her hair. Throughout this entire process, judge your own products and know what you're doing in your product line, but flash cure periodically and fully cure periodically. So anytime you feel like it would be needed to make sure that your product isn't going to run or blend where you don't want it to, just stick it in your lamp for a second just to fix that issue. Then using some white that's a little bit diluted, I'm going to be adding some highlights and some shadows, or not some shadows, but just some highlights on Ursula's face. So I'm going to brighten it up, especially like right on her brow bone, and then going down her nose, on her cheeks, and then on one side of her chin area. And then with a darker shade of purple, I'm going to be adding some shadows. So my preference for doing this gel blend and to create these soft little shadows and highlights and features on characters like this is to apply the product full strength and then dilute it out. So I like to apply it and then clean off any extra product from my brush and then just sort of smooth it out. And if you keep kind of buffing it in, you can get a really nice blend on it. I'm going to take and I'm going to add some kind of an aqua color for her eyeshadow. She's got some pretty crazy drag queen style eyeshadow going on, which I don't know why I'm talking. I wear any color of eyeshadow all the time, so I wear the same kind of stuff that she does. And then add her nice bright red lips. You know, it's funny, when I was preparing to do this Ursula and Maleficent design, I went to my gel polish collection and I just started grabbing any color I thought I could use. And by the end of it, I think I had probably 50% of my gel polish collection. It was a little bit crazy. I was looking and I'm like, it's going to take me forever to put all these away. I'm one of those people that all of my gel polish, they are numbered and they all have their own specific spot. So it does take me a little bit to put them back after I get them all out for a project like this. So just keep filling in your design, add some more of a darker teal to her eyelids, add a couple more stronger highlights if you think it's necessary, like down her nose as I'm doing right now, add some gray in her hair. Keep adding your details, and like I said in the Maleficent video, you can take this as detailed as you want or you can keep it pretty basic. So the original Little Mermaid movie, Ursula didn't really have much for shading on her face, or her facial features didn't have all of this three-dimensional appearance to them. And you can certainly do it that way. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And if you want to, though, you can take it even farther with the detail than I did, especially if you're working on a longer nail. So then after you have all of that gel polish work done, go through and add the little outlines here and there that you need to. So outline her eyes, add her pupils, do some outlines in her hair, her facial features. Go through and just add all of those finer little details that would have just been, for me personally, too much to try to deal with the gel polish. In my own style, I really like to use acrylic paint more than I like to use gel polish for painting. So anytime like this where it's more necessary to use gel polish, I always like to throw in a little acrylic paint just to get the finer lines cleaned up, because I think I can get a little bit more precise with the paint. Add the little separation between her teeth, and then on that other patch of top coat, I'm going to be painting Mr. Flotsam and Jetsam. And these two, it was kind of funny. They're so similar. If you look at them, there's just very little differentiation between the two of them. There are a couple things that there are different between them, but the most notable one is going to be the fact that their eyes are opposite. So they each have one yellow and one white eye. But one of them, the yellow one is the right eye, and the other one, the yellow eye, is the left one. So that's pretty much the only thing that keeps them separated, as far as I can tell. I'm sure there's other things, but if you just are quickly looking at them to find the differences, that's the first thing that is visible. After you have their outlines done, go through with kind of a minty green color and fill in their skin. And then go through and add all of your little details like you did for Ursula. Add a little bit of darker green down their backs, down their spines. There's not really too much of that is seen, but just a little bit on either side of them like that. And keep adding all of those little details, fill in their eyes. Like I said, that's kind of one of the key factors that separates them. So don't forget to fill in their eyes. Add some shading on them, just like we did with Ursula. Keep Flotsam and Jetsam in the same style you did Ursula. So if you did a lot of detail on Ursula, try to do the same thing on these two, and vice versa. If you kept it pretty simple for Ursula, keep it fairly simple for these two. It's funny, I have a shirt that has Ursula on it, and it has Flotsam and Jetsam that are kind of swirling around her. And whenever somebody wears a character shirt like that, which in my household is often, especially if it's me, because I'm always wearing a character shirt, but Melody will ask you to who they are. So constantly throughout the day, she'll point at your shirt and want you to tell her who it is. And I would always, Ursula, Flotsam, and Jetsam. And periodically I would forget which one I was calling which, and I'd switch them up, and she'd just look at me like I was crazy because I was saying the wrong names. Because she knew what I was supposed to be saying. Because what I told her in the morning, it had to be the same way all day long. And it's hard to tell these two apart. So I got myself a little bit confused at one point with them. So keep filling in, add their little teeth, add their eyes. Because you are doing two characters and it's basically the same size as the one character on the other one, it is harder to get as much teeny tiny little detail on each of their faces as you did with Ursula, but do your best. After you have them all done and they're fully cured, go ahead and trim off any extra gel polish around the outside and then fit that on your nail and see how it's setting. And then go through and trim off any extra gel that you can. Try to, nip off any of that clear gel polish that you possibly can. It'll just make it fit a little smoother on the nail. And then take some nail glue and pretty much cover up your nail with it. Then press Miss Ursula down, kind of wrap it around the sides of the nail. Press it down so it's as smooth as you possibly can. As you can see, I'm using the nails on my other hand to really try to get it tucked down on the edges. And then file it to remove any extra gel off the tip. Apply a layer of gel sealer to protect all of that hard work you did, and then encase the nail with a layer of clear acrylic. And as I said in the Maleficent design, encasing it is really where the strength of the nail comes in, so if you don't encase it, it's just not gonna, and it doesn't sit smooth. Your little decals don't really sit smooth, so you don't want to place those on the top of the nail because it won't turn out quite as well. It's much better if they are within the nail. Then repeat the whole process with Flotsam and Jetsam, trim off any extra, and then glue them down onto the thumbnail. And I don't typically sculpt with my left hand at all, so my thumbnail on this finger is really quite crooked. I did fix that though in my end filing process. So glue those guys down, really press them against the sides, take your file and file them down so that the little edge bits are all cleaned up. Apply that gel sealer over the top and then encase the nail with a layer of clear acrylic. Same thing, make sure that you apply that so that it's just kind of smooths out the whole end of the nail and kind of cleans up Flotsam and Jetsam. And then after you have all those filed and you have some gel sealer on them and they're all finished up, I'm going to be applying some rhinestones and studs with jewelry gel onto my ring finger. And to start with, I began with a gold little seashell stud, which is ever so iconic for the Little Mermaid and for Ursula. And then I used a little diamond-shaped frame style stud and put a rhinestone in the middle of it. Add a little bit here and there. That jewelry gel that I'm using, if you don't have any and you like to apply jewels onto your nails, I would highly recommend getting it. Mine is just off of, I think, Amazon. It was just whatever one I could find that was the cheapest. It was kind of what I was going for. But it's a very thick product that holds everything in place as you're working with it and you're placing them. And then it also holds them in place really well afterwards after they're on. I mean, I wore these with no loss for 2.5 weeks. And I'm definitely somebody that loses rhinestones constantly because I am washing my hands 1,000 times a day with Melody. So it definitely works and I would highly recommend getting that. So I hope you guys like this design as much as I do. If you did miss the Maleficent and Diablo design, I'll put a link to that in the description box below. I love both of these so very, very much. If you have any questions about that technique that I used with the gel polish, let me know. I will be happy to answer them, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!